Embrace your power and you.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another Breaking the Build. Today we're doing something a little bit different than normal. We're going to do a Diablo build, and today the build is Rathma's Mitzva. This is, as the name would imply, a Bones of Rathma build for the new Necromancer class, and it's also using the set Jetheth Skull Scythe. So the entire premise of the build is to have as many minions as possible and multiply their damage through these two sets. Currently, the background footage you're seeing is right as I completed both sets, so I have no ancient legendaries or anything like that, so I'm just running nice, comfortable Tier 7 rifts. So, let's look at some of the items, stats, and skills. As I mentioned, I'm using Bones of Rathma 6-piece. I have 5 pieces on, and then using the Ring of Royal Grandeur to complete it to 6. And I'm using Jetheth Arms so that my command skeletons will jump from one target to another and make all of my minions do 400% increased damage all the time. As far as the stats go, sheet stats, the damage is not that impressive looking. Toughness and recovery are, about where they should be when you just put on a 6-piece. But the damage being is how I don't have any ancients on or anything, or at least the set pieces are not ancient. It doesn't look that impressive, but as you can see from the Tier 7 footage, it actually is quite a lot of nice damage because of all the multipliers on your minion damage. Let's look at the skills I'm using. I use Siphon Blood as my primary skill, but as you'll see, I don't actually use it all that often. It's not that necessary. Where I generate all of my essence is actually from Devour with Voracious. So I'll hit Devour once I've killed a big group. My essence pops back up to full, and then also the Skeletal Mages, which is what I'm spending the essence on, are cheaper to cast. Skeletal Mage is obviously a big part of the build because this is what the 6th-piece Rathma does. It makes your Skeletal Mage give huge bonus 2% damage to your minions. So you want to keep as many Skeletal Mages up as you can. And this is why I went with life support. They already don't last very long, and even with life support I wish they lasted longer, or I wish there was some unique to make them last longer. And then I of course use command skeletons. The entire set is based around minion damage, and the Jetheth set is based around commanding your skeletal minions all the time, so you always get that 400% bonus damage. I am using the Frenzy passive because it's just an insane damage boost. The one summons that is not necessary for the build is the Golem. You don't necessarily have to use the Golem at all, but it is a minion build, so you might as well. And I chose Blood Golem just because I'm spending life on the Skeletal Mages. That's the only reason. So every once in a while, if I get hit by something, or if I have just cast 10 Skeletal Mages in a row and I'm getting low on life, I just pop the Blood Golem. And then, of course, Army of the Dead gets a huge bonus from your sets, and I use Unconventional Warfare as the rune, but you can justify any rune here that you feel like. As far as passives, I'm using Commander of the Risen Dead, Extended Servitude, Rathma's Shield, and Grisly Tribute. Grisly Tribute is because I'm spending life, and it does a great job keeping you alive, so you want to stack that life on hit. And Rathma's Shield may seem strange because the only cooldown here that I'm using is the Army of the Dead, but with the set on, you're reducing the cooldown of Army of the Dead quite a bit. And on top of that, I'm also currently using an Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, so that's helping as well. So the main way that this build works is, of course, with the Rathma's set, you're keeping up Skeletal Mages as much as you can. And with the Jetheth set, This is a really interesting set because you're basically keeping command skeletons up all the time. One thing that's not clear from the wording of this set is that the command skeletons, once they've killed their target, which of course is almost instantly on anything that's not a boss, they will jump almost anywhere on the screen. Almost any monster that you can see yourself is within their range to jump to. So if you keep running into new monsters, they keep command skeletons up on those new monsters all the time. And of course, if it does drop off, you can just spend a little bit of essence and pop it right back on because it has no cooldown. So this means that you have that 400% increased damage to minions all the time. It's also really cool just to watch the skeletons jump from target to target, almost like an Omni-Slash. One thing to keep in mind is, if you want to try the Rathma's set and you have the full thing, but you don't have the Jessuth set quite yet, there is an offhand you can use as a substitute if you have a good weapon. You can use the Bone Ringer. This will make your command skeletons increase their damage by 30% per second they spend attacking the same target. So this is really great for bosses and for single target, but it's not going to have the same overall effect as the Jessuth. As far as pros and cons for this build, I'd say, as almost all my builds, the major pro, and the reason that I used the build, or that I created it, is that it's an incredible amount of fun. This build is so much fun. Just watching the skeletons bounce from mob to mob and having your minions do so much damage, and I'm personally a big fan of summoning builds in all ARPGs that I play. In pretty much any RPGs that I play, I love summoning builds. And this is one of the most fun summoning builds that I've done in Diablo 3 for sure. Maybe in any game. So it's great fun. It does great DPS. As I said, I don't really have any Ancients, but Tier 7s, I haven't tried above Tier 7 yet, but Tier 7s have been an absolute breeze, as you can see from these Rift runs. There's no big weakness to the build. It's well-rounded. You have good defense from your set bonuses and from self-healing with the Golem. And it allows you to use all of the minions, which I really love in minion builds, other than Revive, I guess. You're not using Revive, but it allows you to use the Skeletal Mages, the Skeletons, and the Golem to full effect, and I absolutely love that. Another big bonus to this is that for a summoning build, you're always doing something. It's not just you walking around and your summons doing everything. You always feel like you're doing something. You almost don't have enough time to do all the things you want to do between collecting essence, keeping the skeletal mages up, and using the bone army on cooldown, recasting command skeletons if it ever drops off. You always have something to do. You're always struggling to keep enough essence to get a lot of skeletal mages up. And I like that in summoning builds. I like summoning builds where I like all summoning builds, but especially when you actually feel like you have something to do and you're not just watching your minions play the game. As far as cons, I would say the only major con is that it's very difficult to keep your essence up. So you'll see in the footage a lot of the time I only have 2 or 3 skeletal mages up because I'm walking, casting them takes some time, and you run out of essence a lot. They're expensive. So keeping the essence up is, even with Devour, can be a pain. Other than that, there aren't too many cons to the build, I don't think. So it's really fun, really active for a summoning build, and I'm glad that this was the first set that I managed to get a 6-piece of, and I'm glad that this is the first Necromancer build I tried. But there will definitely be more Necromancer builds in the future. I'm going to do at least one build for each Necromancer set, and then I may even do a few more after that. And if I'm really still loving Diablo, which is not a given, then I might even do a few other classes, but I'm playing it right now to really get into the Necromancer. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed this build. I hope you try it out for yourself. It's not difficult to get sets in Diablo, so get the 6-piece Rathmas and the 2-piece Jessuth, and you'll be well on your way to having a lot of fun. Thanks as always for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button below if you enjoyed this content, and I'll see you guys next time.